Before we consider equivalent fractions, let's have a look at these diagrams in front of us. We can see that we've got three squares, and if we look just at the coloured region of each square, we can see that we've shaded a half of each of those squares. What we have done in the second and third square though is we've divided them up into smaller pieces. Let's have a look at the fractions. We can see that in the first instance there are two parts to the square, and we've shaded in one out of two of those parts. In the second square there are four sections that we've cut it up into, and we've shaded two of those four parts. And in the last square there are 8 parts, and we've shaded 4 of those 8 parts. Now we can see from the diagram that each of the sections that we've shaded is equal, so the fractions which represent those shaded regions must also be equal. Let's have a look at how we change from one fraction to the other. We can see that from the first fraction 1/2 to the second fraction 2/4, you have to multiply the top line by 2 and the bottom line by 2, and that's repeated to get the third fraction as well. 2 multiplied by 2 is 4, and 4 in the bottom line multiplied by 2 is 8. Now let's have a look and see what happens when we go from right to left. We can see that when we go from 4 to 2 in the top line, that we have to divide by 2, and likewise 8 divided by 2 gives us 4. We can repeat that process from the second fraction, dividing both the top and bottom line by 2, to get the 1/2, which is the first fraction. Let's have a look at how we apply this idea of equivalent fractions to other fractions without the diagram. If we've got something like 6/14, to turn this into an equivalent fraction, say the simplest one possible, we need to apply the same operation to the top and bottom line. What we'll do is we'll divide by 2. Now we can do that because 2 goes into 6 and it goes into 14. So we can see that if we divide 6 by 2 we get 3, and divide 14 by 2 we get 7. So that's an equivalent fraction. What about if there's a missing number? How do we work out the number in the question mark? What we need to do is decide if the fractions are equivalent or if they're equal. Some change occurs, which must occur in the top and the bottom line. Now we've got 12 multiplied by something has created a bigger number, in this case 60. And we know that number has to be 5. We know that 12 goes into 65 times. So that same operation must apply in the top line. So the top line of our fraction will become 25 because 5 multiplied by 5 is 25. We can see here from our working out that both the top and bottom line of the first fraction, in other words 5 and 12, have been multiplied by 5 to give us the new answer, which is 25/60. So for a fraction to be equivalent to another fraction, we need to be able to multiply or divide the top and bottom line of the fraction by the same amount to achieve the equivalent fraction.